What's up, everybody? It's your girl Diana Lewis. First of all, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa, if you know what that is, and actually celebrate that particular holiday. What a crazy year it's been. I can't believe we're actually about to wrap up 2021. It literally feels like this year was just a blur. This year went by really quickly, although some parts of it was took a very long time to get out of. This year went by really fast, and I just hope and pray that you all had a great year. In the end, some of us may have experienced some setbacks, some messed up things that happened earlier this year, and I just hope that as you are approaching the end of your 2021, that whatever setback you had, you were able to come back and bounce back from it some way, somehow. Just like how I have. I had my own setbacks, um, my own challenges, but I thank God that I was able to bounce back. And an archer might have will have to pull back on his bow, but once he lets go of the bow, the arrow will sling forward. So, the archer of life might pull back your bow, but it's only to propel you forward, right? It's just your perspective, your mentality. So, without further ado, you may have guessed by the way that I'm talking, or you read the title. Yes, it is another installment of Good Talk. We are back with another sit down video, and it's time to wrap up this Angry at God series. My last Angry at God part was sometime during the summer. I don't know when. It felt like it's been 5 months since I touched this. And don't listen, I've tried many times. I've made many attempts to record part 3. However, there was always some kind of issue that would come up. But finally, today, you are now viewing part 3. So I haven't given a little recap in my other parts, but for this one, because there was such a stretch of time, a length of time that passed between part 2 and this part, I will give a little bit of a recap. So overall, um, January was pretty okay, but February, that was when things kind of got rocky. I got laid off from my job unexpectedly. I wasn't thinking that it was going to happen, but I got laid off from my job in February. Um, Still trying to pay off my student loans, which was like a goal of mine to pay off my student loans within a year. Um, and in March, that was when my mom decided, hey, I want to live by myself. Which, I mean, that's not a problem. Like, because look at me, I'm a grown adult. It's time for me to spread my wings and fly. But the timing was just, it was not the best timing for me because I was unemployed. Okay? I was unemployed, in 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 debt. Didn't really have, I mean, I had savings, but not enough to say that, okay, well, I could just go off logically, I could go off on my own, you know? So, um, when my mom decided to do that, I just went into a momentary flight position. Like I was just, I was coddling my fear, coddling my negative emotions that I was feeling in that present time. The feeling of failure, the feeling that I will not succeed, the feeling that my life will just be a mediocre pile of mediocrity. This I reached out to this person for help. This person um pretty much slapped me in the face by saying, "Hey, You have such a bad attitude that nobody's going to employ you. You have depression and you have anxiety. In a nutshell, without getting too detailed, you could watch the other parts to get the details of how that exchange went. But just to give a little bit of a synopsis of what took place, that's what happened. I was very upset with God and decided to do things on my own, just to act independently. I knew that if I can control what I can, everything else would work out, and that I was acting in in that moment. Although I did not know it, I was stepping out on absolute faith, not risk, not probability, not doubt, not fear, but believing that what I would do, despite the amount of effort I would have put into it, and I put in a lot of effort. But regardless of how much effort I put into the situation, I beyond a shadow of a doubt, unequivocally felt that whatever I did, it was gonna work out. And so I made sure I secured another job. I got another job, even though this person said that ain't nobody was gonna employ me. Amen. And I got an apartment, as you can see, before the month of March finished, and I moved in on April 1st. You would think that, hey, I would just lift my hand and tell God, thank you for your mercies and for your grace, but I did not do any of that. I was very upset, very traumatized by the situation, and by that time it was mid-April, so it was Resurrection Sunday when I decided to participate in the traditions of Easter, particularly for a Jamaican person. Eat your mud and cheese, yakking, saltfish, fried fish, fried snapper, all those things I participate in. But I just felt like something was missing, so I tuned into Elevation Church, and the sermon was on John chapter 11. Fast forward, I did not retain any information because I was shouting at the TV. But like I said in part 2, the seed was planted. So I'm at work later on. This is probably mid-June, and at that time, that would have been when I posted the first part of Angry at God, if I'm not mistaken. That around June, that was when I posted the first part of this little series. And yeah, I'm at work just chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool, listening to music, not necessarily gospel music, but I was listening to music. Somehow, the song selection just went to Tasha Cobbs, and I was like, okay, Tasha, what do you say? Break every chain, say it. Yeah, you make me happy, whatever, vibing to the song. Then all of a sudden, these two particular songs come on. One of them is called Grace. The other one is called Dove Eyes. And at that point, I felt like the Lord was trying to speak to me, trying to tell me something. And especially for Dove Eyes, because the lyrics go like this: I believe that you are listening. I believe that you move at the sound of my voice. So give me dove eyes. Give me undistracted? Undistracted. Wait, what's the lyrics? Something in devotion, okay? For only you. And at that point, I felt like God was telling me two things: that He wants my attention, and that He sees me. Everybody wants to be understood, wants to be seen, and wants to be heard. But it feels good to know that somebody understands what you're going through, or somebody understands you just as a person. So, I felt like God was telling me that, but I'm like, no, I don't want to hear this. I'm still upset, whatever. So this is still in the summer. So one night I just was thinking of different ideas that I could um, reintroduce myself or reintegrate myself into the YouTube atmosphere, coming back with new videos and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, my mind just drifts to the sermon that Stephen predicted way back in April on Resurrection Sunday on John chapter 11. And I remember bits and pieces. But for those who don't know John chapter 11 or need a little bit of a refresher, it goes a little bit like this. So Jesus has these three close friends named Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. So Jesus hears that Lazarus is sick. So he goes down to see how he's doing. But in Jesus' mind, he knew that Lazarus, the man knew that Lazarus was going to die. Let me just set the scene. All right, so imagine Jesus is coming up the street in your neighborhood. So right before Jesus could even get to the house, here comes Martha busting out. She probably heard that, oh, Jesus is in the neighborhood. Jesus is here. He's on the block. He's in the neighborhood. So she just busts out through the front door, just coming down the street. I know that's probably not what happened, but just entertain my imagination, okay? Entertain me for a second. So she busts out, and she honestly, I feel like Martha is probably the most relatable person in this story because Mary doesn't say much, but Martha, she says something that we all have said to somebody. We've all said this phrase or something similar to it when somebody comes late. If you had come here about an hour ago, 45 minutes ago, we would have been seated at a table and be eating that food that person is eating right now. Okay? If you had come maybe an hour earlier, we would have been front row center at the concert. If you had come at least 30 minutes earlier, I would not be so cold right now. I wouldn't be so cranky. We all have said different versions of this when people show up late, or as it would say, show up on Caribbean time. All right, so anybody would say, anybody would be upset and ask, well, why are you late? But Martha, and please entertain my sense of humor, entertain my sense of imagination. Okay, so Martha is just like, well, why are you coming up here late? Okay, if you had been here sooner, Lazarus would have been hip hopping, pop locking down these streets right now. He would have been getting groceries from the store. Okay, he could have been getting unleavened bread right about now for us. Some wine and unleavened bread for us to eat. But you came late. But you know what? Now that you're here, I know you're going to do something miraculous or whatever. Long story short, Jesus does raise Lazarus from the dead. But in my whole thought process of thinking about this particular story, the way that I was thinking about it, just like how I presented it to you all, a question came to my mind. The question was, what are you willing to go through so that God can get the glory through you? What are you willing to go through so that God can get the glory through you? Back in verse 4, Jesus says that this sickness isn't going to kill Lazarus, but it's supposed to bring glory to God, right? He says, hey, it's not going to kill him, but it's going to give God glory. This is not the only place where we see that type of statement that Jesus speaks from out of his own mouth. In John chapter 9, there's this man who was born blind. And Jesus' disciples are really fast. Right? They're like, yo, Jesus, did this man's parents do something disgusting, atrocious, um, to cause this man to be born blind as a child? And Jesus responds and says, this happened so that the work of God be revealed through him. So we have the sickness isn't going to kill him, but it's supposed to bring God glory from Lazarus. In John chapter 9, we have this happened concerning the blind man. This happened so that the work of God be revealed through him. And I know this sounds borderline selfish and probably evil, but think about it like this, all right? This is a full disclosure right now. You are about to learn something very important about me. I am a massive gamer girl. I know it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like I play games or know anything about games or know anything about controllers or consoles or anything of that nature. But I love video games, and there is this particular game. You could ask my sister or anybody who knows me personally, to that extent at least. There is this game that I am obsessed. Okay, maybe obsession is a strong word, but I just love the game. I love everything about it. The lore, the the costume design, the fighting, the actual fighting choreography in the game, um, everything that has to do with this particular game. And this game is called Mortal Kombat. Love that game. So, in Mortal Kombat 11, another disclaimer, if you have not played this game or watched any gameplay on YouTube or know how the plot goes in this particular game, this is going to be a huge spoiler alert. Okay, so if you don't want to know the plot of Mortal Kombat 11, just skip through this part. Go to the end. Yeah. Okay, so in Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath, Fire God Liu Kang allows all of his friends, fighting companions, enemies, past and revenant self to be captured, injured, and die for the greater purpose of retrieving Kronika's crown to properly restart time, creating the new era. And this involves a little bit of knowing what took place in the game. So I'm not going to go into all the ins and outs of of Mortal Kombat 11 because I'll be talking forever because I do love that game. I love that game. Like I said, Liu Kang, Fire God Liu Kang, he allows everybody that he knows, his friends, his fighting companions, his enemies, past self, revenant self, to be captured, injured, and die, all for the greater purpose of retrieving Kronika's crown so he could properly restart time, creating the new era of Mortal Kombat. So, in the same way, we could look at it like this. God allows some of the worst things to happen for a greater purpose. God God allows some of the worst things in life to happen for a greater purpose. First, first and foremost is to show how much we actually do need God. We wonder why so much evil happens in the world, and we blame God for evil. We blame God. Some people even say that God created evil. God did create the tree of knowledge of good and evil, but it was ultimately man's choice. man's decision to eat of that tree, resulting in sin to enter into the world, which is a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother can of worms. I don't want to bite into the apple and open up something else. I probably have, but whatever. Um, yeah, but there's a greater purpose, and that purpose is to for us to realize how much we do actually need God in our lives to assist us and guide us through our most difficult and hardest times. And I know that sounds ridiculous, sounds unlogical. That okay, why would God allow or permit evil to happen? God uses evil things, even wicked people, to humble us, for us to come to our senses and be like, yo, like we need God. We need God to help us. Secondly, is to bring God glory. For my situation that I went through, I can't explain how I necessarily went through it. All I said was, I am going to take control of what I can and hope and have faith that everything else will work out on its own. To even think about some of the things that are inaccessible for some people, but was accessible for me, I can't I can't explain that. But the third reason that or purpose why we go through some horrible things in life is to show ourselves that we are mentally capable. We have the mental fortitude to handle certain situations that life may bring. And it's to show us that we are strong, mentally strong. We are capable. We have we when the pressure is on, we are able to tap into resources and to find resources that we otherwise would not have done if we did not have a crisis situation. And they I'm sure you've heard this. It takes pressure to make diamonds. There is a process in which gold is made, and it takes a lot of heat to form pure gold and diamonds. It takes pressure. So if you want to be a diamond, you will go under a lot of pressure. And we are all diamonds on this earth. We are diamonds in the rut, which means a diamond in the rut really means that you have a lot of dirt on you. To be a pure crystal type of diamond, you need to get all that dirt, all that grit, all that nastiness off, which requires pressure. If you never went through what you went through, you would not have realized that you are resourceful, that you are resilient, that you are strong. I didn't know that I was so strong, mentally strong, that I was really able to think under pressure. Yes, everybody has a moment or moments of feeling weary, feeling defeated. However, don't stay there. Do not stay there. Do not coddle those negative emotions so long that becomes your new normal. Right? Rise above. Rise above those feelings, that situation. Do not stay there. I mean, if you had not been through what you've been through, you would not have been able to encourage so many other people who've been through similar situations like you. And really, that's the last part of why we go through some of the worst things in life, is to offer assistance to another person. Um, living on the Western part of the world, I live in a very individualistic society. It's not community oriented, but really, we as humans, we are all here for one another to make the world a better place together. And when we go through certain things, it's not necessarily for ourselves, it's to help the other person who is going through a similar situation that we have experienced, or if we have not even been through that problem, that crisis, that circumstance the other person is going through, we are able to relate to their emotion. We are able to relate by being empathetic to what they're going through. And like I said, it feels so good to be understood and to be heard, to be seen, to have somebody other than yourself understand what you're going through. Not to encourage misery-loving company, but to encourage you and saying that, hey, you are not alone in what you're going through, and you will get to the other side. I can't tell you when, can't tell you how, but as long as you keep your focus, as long as you keep your head on your shoulders, and maintain a positive attitude. Your attitude, your mentality is everything in getting through your situation. How you respond to your situation will determine the end result. Really, it does. So, it is absolutely okay. It is absolutely okay being upset with God. Many people have been upset with God, even in scripture. Many people have been upset with God, even to the point of questioning, where is God? Where did God go? I feel alone. Where did God go? I'm crying out to God. Jesus hanging on the cross literally said, my Father, why? Why have you forsaken me? We've all have been through that moment where we feel like God was not there, resulting in feeling abandoned, forsaken. But the Word of God says, I will never leave you. Jesus says, I will never leave you, nor will I forsake you. When my father and my mother forsake you, then the Lord will take care of you. So, if you have not heard anything that I said, just know that it's okay to be upset with God. And it's okay not to understand what you're going through or understand why you're going through it at the moment. But as you begin to get through to as you begin to go through and move through that issue, things will become more clearer. Stuff happens in life. Things happen in life, but it's how you respond to it that will determine the road to your victory or the road to your success. If something comes up, it is how you respond to it. And yes, you can have a moment where you feel afraid, but I want to challenge you and say to you, do not stay in that feeling of fear. After you address those emotions, after you address those feelings, after you address the possibility of, oh, this might be the worst thing that could happen. Like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? After you address those things, shift your mentality. Take control of what you can and whatever cannot work and whatever you can't control. Have faith. Believe that it will work out on its own. Those things will work out by itself. Reject the negative thoughts, the negative opinions. Yes, those negative opinions might be echoing loud in your mind, but reject it. If anybody has something negative to say about you that is not a part of who you are, there's a difference between saying something as a constructive criticism, and then there's a difference and saying something that is just negative. There's constructive criticism and negativity. I'm speaking to the negativity. If somebody is not giving you constructive criticism, it's negativity. I just need for you to respectfully reject it. Originally, I was going to tell you to tell him to shut the hell up. I was really going to. I had that. I had that in my notes to say, yo, tell those people to shut up. But really, respectfully reject it. Respectfully. And if you are a child of God like me, and somebody happens to say something negative, the Bible says a couple of things. Sweet and bitter cannot flow from the same fountain. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. So if somebody's saying something that is not godly to you, according to Isaiah 54:11, you are in your legal right to rebuke the devil out of them. And not necessarily the person, but the spirit that is influencing that person to speak negatively into your life. Last but not least, know that your situation is only temporary. It's not going to last. I will repeat this again. It is how you respond that will determine the outcome, the road to your victory or the road to your demise. It's how you respond to it. So, to wrap this up, yes, as you can see, I'm in my apartment. I'm employed. I was able to pay off my student loans less than a year. I was able to do everything that I wanted to accomplish. In hindsight, I do thank God for the experience that I went through. And I hope that this and me sharing my story, that somebody out there is blessed, somebody out there is encouraged, and somebody out there finds that they're not alone in feeling upset with God or not knowing all the answers, and can find encouragement and the strength to endure. Control the things that you can. Whatever you cannot control, it will work itself out. You just have to tell yourself that. Keep on telling yourself that whatever you cannot control will work itself out. Make a list of the things that you can control, and make a list of the things that you can't control, and just say, okay, I'm gonna control what I can. I'm gonna get all my ducks in a row, and whatever ducks I cannot control on my own, they will fall in line by itself. Just have faith. That's my last point. Have faith. But again, please, if you enjoyed this series and you want to see more like this, me being open, having a lot more good talks. But if you want to hear more, please let me know. Let me know down in the comments. I'm not asking for anybody to like the video. I'm not asking anybody to do anything, to subscribe. I'm not asking for any of that. I just hope that this video was a blessing to you. And if you want more, just let me know. Let me know. But until next time, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I will see you soon.